Hello, hello, Speed Gaming Land. Who's
Yo.
excited for Game 3?
No, I am so excited for Game 3. These are, if you are not familiar with these two runners, first of all, where have you been? Second of all, welcome to Ocarina of Time Randomizer. Third of all, this is going to be an incredible match between these two runners. I am absolutely pumped.
Yep, should be excellent. What the hell's happened versus Gavaroni? Hells took match 1 of this semifinal round. Gav managed to pull out game 2. So here we are, game 3.
And just to give a little bit of background into these two runners, What the Hells has won at least one SGL, I believe, if not 2, correct? SGL online tournaments?
I think 1.
Okay, I know he's also won some in-person tournaments as well of SGL, if I remember correctly. So he has a line of SGL trophies already behind his name, and Gavaroni just demolished the qualifiers. I mean, first place coming out of the quals, not even close for someone second place. Like, it was, Gav murdered the quals, and so you've got the top qualifier meet somebody who has a long history of excellent SGL placements going head-to-head, both one game apiece. This is the make or break game. One runner will advance to the finals. One runner will go home after this. Oh.
Yep, and it's been so fun watching both of them play. Little quick recap what we're starting with here. One of our required dungeon rewards, our Spirit Med, which is nice. We also have our Light Medallion, which will be a pre-completed dungeon that we'll figure out as soon as they do a check. And Minuet is going to be our ZL song, so that's really nice for movement.
Yeah, and as a shock to no one, first thing they're going to do is play Minuet.
Ooh, and Nocturne. Right, one of our dual hints right off the bat. Bolero in Composer Grave and a dead item.
I'll be honest, I kind of like this play from Gav.
Yeah, check these hints, maybe do Kokiri Forest.
Yep, get 4 free items right off the bat. I don't think you're going to lose that much time by doing this, and the amount of time that you have to gain is pretty awesome.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Alright, ooh, and there we go. River to Volvaggio, one of our path hints, as well as Lon Lon Ranch to Phantom Ganon. That's going to be really nice. Starting with Minuet, we're expecting one of our items.
And honestly, the Lon Lon Ranch to Phantom Ganon isn't a great hit. Oh my god, Sega Force Meta Bongo Bongo. Yeah, no kidding. As it gives you Nocturne. Well, that's a wasted hit. But everyone's going to be doing Lon Lon at the end of the game. Like, early in the seed, everyone's going to do Lon Lon. Not everyone's going to do Sword Sworders. That's a nice hint to get early on. And that's why you do Kokiri Forest Bomb Bag.
Yeah.
It is the single strongest item that you can get in the early game is Bomb Bag.
Yep, I would agree. I think that's gonna play out really nicely for Gav. No indication whether or not there's another bomb bag available right now, but you know what? The fewer questions you have early on, the better. So let's see, what are our dungeons that we know so far? We have Forest, we have Shadow, we have Fire.
Oh yeah, because we have path hints. We haven't checked the pedestal.
There we go. Alright, so, one of the nice things, Lon Lon Ranch, I agree, you're not likely to skip it. You know it's not likely to be the song as well. So it gives you some good information. Say, if a bow is all you find there, that's pretty strong information as far as paths.
And then we see something interesting there in that our Light Medallion is Dodongo's Cavern. So, you know, that early bomb bag is far less useful for Gav.
Yep.
With that information, because that means that there's just nothing in Dodongo's Cavern. You really don't benefit a whole lot without DC from an early bomb bag.
Yep. It still gets you more efficient routing along the way, for sure, but, yeah, that DC being the pre-completed dungeon is easily the worst thing that you can see when you open up that screen.
Yep.
And Lullaby there in the windmill.
And just both of these runners getting murdered by fireballs here. Like Dompe's aim is impeccable.
Yeah, Dompe out for blood today says, you know what? This is game 3 semifinals. You gotta earn it.
He's just doing these 360 no-scope headshots. Just like, here you go.
Maybe Dompe's a little salty. I should be in the semis. I'm not sure, but you know what? Both runners getting through under that minute with ease.
Dompe's sure playing like he deserves the finals.
20 and 30 dead, I think?
No, 30 was a boomerang.
30's boomerang? Oh,
yep.
No. I was like, it was a word.
Yep, 30 be that boomerang.
That can make that play to Long Long Ranch more interesting, because if it's our hook shot, you want that early. Jabu is one of our stones that is required. Our bridge condition is the 3-stone dungeons.
Mm-hmm. If you watched a lot of Ocarina of Time Randomizer, but maybe not a whole lot of SGL, as Mel was saying, the bridge requirements are the 3 stones. The boss key requirement is Shadow and Spirit Medallion. So there's 5 dungeons that are required to be beaten. We started with one of those for free in the form of Spirit Medallion. So there's really only 4 dungeons that need to be completed. Beyond that, there still could be items or songs behind the other dungeons. Again, the only exception to that is Dodongo's Cavern with that light medallion is a pre-completed dungeon. So there will not be anything in Dodongo's Cavern, and beating Dodongo's Cavern won't lead to anything.
Yeah. One of the things I will say, though, if you end up picking up that early bomb bag like Gav did, and you know that 30 skulls is required, there are a few very quick skulls in Dodongo's Cavern that might be worth popping in there.
Yeah, definitely something to think, especially like if you're not finding items, like you're not finding a hook shot, you're not finding bottle, you know, you're not finding another child projectile weapon, like you might need to go to DC to get some of those easy skulls. Mm-hmm. You don't really want to see it in this case, just because DC's not required, but it might be what ends up happening.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, okay, say you pick up a hook shot, you've got free Scarecrow, you can be in and out of there maybe 2 minutes with 3 skulls. That's not that bad. And a hint.
What the hell's checking fire? Absolutely agree with this play. Grabbing the song here. Sorry, by checking fire, checking the Bolero song. Excuse me. Checking the Bolero song.
Song of time. Alright. And that looks like it might be it for Adult 1 for Hells, but we will see. Neither of our runners checked the foolish hints, so I would definitely expect him to walk out of here and get those.
Absolutely. And again, whether or not What the Hells knows about Long Long Ranch, she's almost certainly going to be heading to Long Long Ranch.
Yep, absolutely. And again, this is one of those things where the information early, alright, but you know what? You're not skipping it. You'll find that hint in particular on your way to do whatever you're doing next, especially when you have Minuet.
And, you know, Gav has some interesting routing options coming up, because there's a few things that Gav knows that What the Hells doesn't quite know. Gav knows that he has to do river at some time. He also has Bomb Bag walking in the child. So he can be really smart about his routing upriver, and possibly even doing kind of a river into Minuet play, or he can be like, you know what, I'm going to push 30 skulls first, I'll do river on my way up to Jabu. So he just has a lot of information and a lot of tools to be able to act on that information, but What the Hells just doesn't have yet.
Yep. Yeah, and there's no guarantee that it's the hammer in river, but it's always likely when you see that. We also saw our foolish hints, and they're kind of bad. We ended up with both Castle Fairies being hinted foolish, Valley, which is probably the weird... Oh, and a bug bottle, just to help us out.
That's
nice.
Real nice. It's like, I hear that you need 30. Let me make this a little easier for you.
So you said you want skulls. And then the last one was Domain. So really, like... I think this will be a pretty quick child segment.
I think so. Most of those awkward child. Yep, and there's the Source River hint. Most of those awkward child locations that just kind of take you out of the way are Hinted Foolish.
Yep. Yeah, Gav, a little light on money here, but should be able to do a couple checks. That bomb bag, being able to do bomb chew bowling right away is always nice. It's easily the one that you're, like, least concerned about getting to because it's not time of day dependent like the other child market checks, but, you know, it's nice to get taken care of.
Yep, absolutely. So you would like to see kind of 80 rupees walking in the market. I agree with you. 65 is a little bit more challenging.
It's a little awkward. But, you know, you're that close, maybe you do wait for time of day. You have no issue as far as movement. The only question mark then is, when do you actually make it to Lon Lon Ranch for whatever your path there is?
You can kind of see Gav being like, what do I want to do? Trying to put together the money to make sure it works. Or you could just, you know, grab it on your way back to adult as another option.
Yep.
The advantage that Gav has is that as long as Gav has this bomb bag, he can just do a few more checks in the areas that he and What the Hells are already in. So you saw him do Redead Grotto. He might, he's not quite having the money, but if he had the money, he could do Bomb Chew Bowling. He could do the near market check. And so, like, by covering the same ground, he's actually doing more checks in that same movement. So, it just makes his early game just a little bit more efficient by having that bomb bag.
Yep. Alright, I don't think Talon had anything exciting. Winter Heart Piece, possibly. If Lady Draco is posting that intentionally. And
now,
Epona, okay.
Interesting. Now, I feel like Gav's time of day is pretty close to night. I'm trying to think why. What extra he did. I'm like, your time of day shouldn't be that close. What did you do?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll make Lon Lon Ranch no problem, but yeah, after that it'll be... maybe it just looks later.
Oh, it just looked later. I was like, I don't understand how this guy's already turning pink. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yep. And here is a hook shot. That'll be very nice. Between that bug bottle and a hook shot, these runners will have 30 skulls in no time.
Yep, What the Hell's doing Oh, nice. What the Hell's doing one of the most classic openers. Just do your adult, go to Lon Lon, do your Sacred Forest Meadow, away you go.
Yep.
Boring as hell, but damn is it efficient.
Yep, it might be boring, but you know what? Maybe this child segment goes a little longer. I would, personally, I am so paranoid when it comes to Child Goron City that I would absolutely go in there with the bomb bag he's gonna pick up. The Sacred Forest Meadow Wolfos Grotto here that he's running right over, Gav will be able to do.
Yep.
PG is Phantom Ganon, so the final boss of the Forest Temple.
Good question, and also, we recognize that a lot of you watching from Speedgaming might not be as familiar with OOT Randomizer. Please feel free to ask questions. Mel and I are absolutely happy to answer, as well as anyone else in chat. So please do not feel comfortable, or do not feel uncomfortable, excuse me, if there is something that you want to ask of, like, oh, I don't understand what you mean by this, or oh, I don't understand why that's important. Feel free to ask us. We are happy to help.
Yeah, and Hell's having a little trouble with this soil patch. I think one of the bugs just didn't go in there. Which is weird.
Yeah, it's It's interesting how you think that soil patch skulls are fast, and they're just not.
Yeah,
Like,
they did actually get a speed up pretty recently, which is nice.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, definitely nicer than where it has been, but it's still the movement to the skull, the using the bottle for it, the killing of the skull and then leaving out, just ends up taking 45 seconds to a minute per skull. And when you're trying to route 30 skulls as efficiently as possible, you want to go for the skulls that are a few seconds a skull, not skulls that are pushing a minute per skull. So it just takes longer than you think.
Yep. And honestly, I would expect to see some good movement. Sun Song, we joke about it kind of being a mini warp song. I would expect us to see both runners take advantage of that, especially knowing that there are skulls they can pick up along the way. Which is something that we didn't even think about when Gav doesn't have Sun Song yet. Doesn't even matter.
No, I'm just laughing at that save spawn location.
Yep. I mean, that's kind of a fun one. Unfortunately, we did get Nocturne really early, but otherwise, that's not a bad spot.
It's not bad
for movement.
Yeah. Well, and so one of the things that you saw from Gav there is that it's very common to see runners save quit to look for their spawn before they were going to play a warp song anyway. So Gav was already intending. I love that. I love those bomb cheers, and what the hell is going to be like? Yes, explosives! And then he's going to get a bomb bag like 2 minutes later.
Bomb bag, surprise!
But it's very common, and it's actually very smart to use the knowledge of I'm going to be using a warp song anyway, so I might as well check my save spawn now, and then warp song afterwards, and you don't really lose that much time, and you gain a lot of information knowing that warp song.
Yep. Alright, I believe that was Vanilla Boomerang chest is dead. Here's some magic. Ooh. And Gav did pick up iron boots in the crater. We don't expect to need to do Water Temple, but you never know.
Yeah, and it definitely irons helps. It helps a few ways. It relieves any stressor burdens that you might be of like, do I need to check Tektite Grotto? Do I need to check Under the Icy Waters? But it then also gives you some movement if, as an adult, you're like, I want to go from Lost Woods to River to check my river checks. You can just do that straight away with that with those iron boots. You don't have to worry about trying to find a scale. So it gives you a little bit of movement and some peace of mind.
Yep. And there was a strength and Graveyard to Baronade. We got a letter there, so
great. I know. I was like, wow. Wow. Wow.
Thanks, game. You're the best. And Hells did pick up a slingshot. We don't have it on our tracker, but we will remind you.
Yep. And What the Hell's showcasing some really cool. It was a little bit earlier on. We didn't have a chance to talk about it. Showcasing some really cool strats with Sun Song, and you'll probably see this from Gav, in using Sun Song to speed up movement by going from kind of the extremes of Lost Woods back to that more central entrance to be able to get more movement, to get movement faster through Lost Woods.
Yep. Alright. Let's see. Alright, that was much faster than I usually see. Oh, Goron Tunic. Interesting.
Yeah, What the Hell's is notorious for shooting about 30 shots at anything before he actually hits it.
Honestly, it gives me hope for myself, who I am just a terrible shot, but like the number of projectiles I see him just.
I'm pretty sure in one room of Shadow Temple alone, I watched him go through about 30 arrows. And I'm sure it's gonna happen again today.
Yep.
But he is notorious for shoot first, aim later.
Yep.
Whereas, you know, the rest of us sane human beings are like aim first, shoot later. No. Nah, why would you do that when you can shoot first, aim later?
Yep.
So, well, it'll be a sheer treat watching him do Shadow Temple.
Yep. There didn't appear to be anything of note in the Wolfos Grotto. in SFM, that's definitely going to still be on Hills' mind. But, you know, it's not really something that he's going to have lost out on, just going to route it in later.
Yep. So, What the Hell's intentionally entered that house?
Yep.
Because after he checks this sword chest, he's going to be able to play Sun Song. And again, using the fact that time of day is static in these locations will allow him to warp to his most recent entrance and skip having to go back through the maze. So, really smart move here. Oh, yeah, and pick up the skull by changing time of day.
Yep. Yeah, so far, I mean, this has been very impressive from both runners. Gav going into Child Goron City by the look of it.
Yeah, I think this is a good play for a few reasons. You're right here, and it's 2 checks that if you don't do them now, you're probably not going to do them for at least another hour.
Yep. And Darunia is hinted dead, so you don't need to worry about that later.
Yep, so they can full clear Child Goron City. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. And, you can't peek the maze as Child, but honestly, having a bomb bag this early, I think that it's worth just going in there. There's another skull in there. There's a hint in there.
Yeah, I think if I were in their shoes, and this is just a meism, I'd probably come back as adult, because you have Bolero and you have Hookshot, and so it's real quick to get back there. But I could also see the argument of you're already here as Child, so I might as well just check. So I don't disagree with that move either.
Hi, Chuckles. Yeah, bomb bag.
Yep. Also, on Gav's side, you would have seen Gav pick up some of those pots there. If you're ever desperate for a stick, there's a stick in one of those pots. And I will say, it's really important as a randomizer runner to know where your refills are.
Know where your refills
refills are. Because when you have 0-6 sticks and you need to do a stick check, knowing where your refills on sticks are is really nice.
Alright. Hal's also checking that Child spawn. Honestly, I gotta say both of these runners are clearly so, like, on point today.
Yeah.
Like, they both want to win, and this is gonna be just an amazing match. They're not leaving anything to chance. And Gav is going to at least look into the maze here.
And again, not a bad play at all. Definitely support this. May not have been the choice that I made, and also, Gav was the #1 qualifier. So, who am I to make critiques on their plays?
We're the commentators. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Oh, Hell's... Oh, and a bow. Alright. And Len's game is Kokiri sword? Did I see that right?
I'm gonna... Hold on, I've got the other stream open. Yep, nope. Oh, I'm gonna trust you. Yep.
Yeah, that is forest full clearable. It is one of our stones, so... And that bow is big for Gav. We'll see if Hell's pops in there. But, I mean, to your point, it's also very easy to get back here as an adult, so it's not like he's going to be at a disadvantage, really, with that bow. It's just remembering to do it.
Yeah. I think if What the Hells has gone through the rest of Death Mountain Trail, I would be surprised then if he didn't full clear Goron City, just to kind of have all of that done. Like, he's peaked 2 of the checks in Death Mountain Crater. He's gotten the ferry and the 3rd one. He's dropped down and done Death Mountain Trail. So he's more or less cleared out the Death Mountain area.
Yeah.
So I feel like in his position, it would be advantageous to just keep going and clear out the Goron City area as well.
Yeah, he did equip Choose, so usually I would see that as I'm not going to the maze in this segment.
He may also have done Choose just to get the quick strat on the big Goron.
Yep.
Just saves. It's a nice little time save when you got them.
Yep. Alright.
So, but Gav almost certainly going to finish out this kind of Kokiri area, and then I would be surprised if he does anything else but goes Forest Temple at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do it. It's 5 skulls closer to your boomerang. You don't know what you're gonna find in there.
Yeah, I think it's the best play that he has at this point. For all the reasons that you expressed.
And Hells is gonna blow some shoes in here.
Hell yeah.
Did Gav pop up on the big chest here to peek over?
I don't think he did. I think he just kind of walked out.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's a good point. You can, whenever there's a big chest, you can get up there and get some height. If you're an adult, you can just jump right over.
Yeah, you can actually as child too, with that being a big chest.
Oh, nice.
Yep, you just have to do a little jump slash.
Oh, that makes sense.
Alright, so Gav is going to pick up a few extra skulls here. Hell's going back through Lost Woods.
Yep. I think Gav is realizing just how fast this seed might be.
Yep. I think this is River for Hells.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I can support that. I could also see an argument of doing it as adult. You've got Iron Boots. You've got to beat Forest. And so there's an argument of I'm going to go do Forest first. Yep. And then after beating Forest, from Kokiri to Lost Woods to River could also be a good play.
Yeah.
So there's a few ways that you could approach this. I don't think this is a wrong way. And the nice thing is it gives you 2 child skulls here.
Yeah.
Versus the 2 adult skulls that you would get, so.
Yeah, and you can get the 2 adult ones as well, because if you're thinking 30 and you're going, alright, I think they're both at about 8 right now. I need to double check, but... okay, Hells is already at 10, so if you're starting to do the counting, I always say it's the Rain Man counting, because people just start going, alright, I've got 12, 15, 30, because so often you're skipping the actual thought process. But if you're thinking, alright, you know what, I need 30 anyway, I have access to Ice Cavern, for example, which... with Sunsong, that is a total of 6 skulls. If you want to go up the river, if you want to go get the one in Domain, and the 3 that are in Ice, like, it's not a bad decision to make. Like, alright, I already have 23 skulls in my inventory. If I just do this in an order, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Ice Cavern when you are missing skulls, because you get some good checks, and it's great skull density.
Yeah.
For exactly the reasons that you mentioned, so, big fan of that. And so I think they are pretty comparable at this point.
Ooh.
Hello,
Interesting.
Hello, Long Shot.
Hello, Long Shot. Alright, so let's talk Long Shot plus our Iron Boots.
I don't want to.
I don't really want to either. But let's think about this. There are eye drops here. I don't think we have a big Goron hint yet. I wish you could turn those in as child, but you're gonna lose them if you save quit anyway, so that's... But we have Bolero. It's fine.
Everything's
fine.
Yeah, I think you get the eye drops and you're just like rah, 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 rah. But the fascinating thing, yeah, and I think you were gonna mention this already, is that they have Eponas. And so with that said, the amount of checks that require long shots specifically is very limited to water and 1 check in spirit.
And shoot the sun.
Yeah, and shoot the sun. You're right. I kind of. Is it bad that I just lump shoot the sun in with
No.
in the water temple. I'm just like, it's water, and then like the next check in water is shoot the sun.
Yeah. The only reason it is technically separate. We actually have the tools to do water. We have lullaby, we have irons, we have long shot. It just doesn't necessarily need to be tied into beating water. So in this case, like, I am way more compelled to play Sunsong twice before going into Water Temple.
That you know, I think Star brings up a very good point. We had hookshot leads to Phantom Cannon, right?
Yep. Well, no, we had Epona and hookshot.
But why?
That's a great question.
Right?
Because the bow is completely in logic with a perfectly free bomb bag. We started with Minuet, so our access isn't the question.
Yep.
Our hook shots were both freely available, did not lock each other.
Yep. And we got strength. Yep. Unless on hover boots.
Where was Lullaby?
It's gonna be hover boots. You know it's gonna be hover boots.
Well, why would it be hover boots? We have a strength.
Because you can be hovers locked in forest if the keys require you to get dead hand to continue progressing forward in Forest Temple. Just think it's processing. Mala's processing. The wheels are turning.
I'm processing because
So
we have a strength, though.
Yeah. But for example, if you don't have enough keys to go, so if you only pick up one key in all of the first X amount of checks, then you don't have another key.
Oh, that's
to
right,
go to
because
the
of the
boss
way we
key
actually...
the
way we're supposed to do it.
The recoil is not in logic.
The recoil is not in logic.
The way that we always do it is not in logic.
The way I always associate it is the strength. The strength means it's available. It doesn't matter, but that's not the case. So yeah, we must... Oh, that's so dumb.
It's so funny because I agree with you. Like, the recoil is just the way you do Forest Temple. You do the recoil. But in reality, the recoil is not technically in logic.
No, I just always think like, oh, we've got a strength. What does it matter? But there is another key door that you have to be able to go through first.
Correct. It assumes that, and this is just for those of you who might be watching, Forest Temple, so you walk in, there's the chest on the tree, and we'll see all of this and explain all of this. There's the chest on the tree, there's the chest in the Stalfos room. There's 3 more chests in that first courtyard, and then there's a chest with the ice switch. If you only get 1 key out of all of those chests, you don't have another key to go to the boss key room, drop down and get Core Master. The only other way that the game assumes that you can get another key is using hover boots, which again still blows my mind that it's in logic this way, but using hover boots to go to the Core Master.
Yep. So here's the other thing. Yeah. What the hell has been buying a shield so infrequently in this? So there was another strength there. All of these pieces together. All right, we do need our hover boots. Shadow is required today, so we're not going to be mad about piecing together that hovers lock, honestly. It's going to be annoying if somehow that's also the Volvagia path item, because it leaves us a little up in the air for our hammer. But it does mean that we're probably expected to cross the wasteland. Because otherwise our long shot and our Epona are both together. It shouldn't be in the GTG Gerudo Fortress area. It should be like Haunted Wasteland or beyond.
I don't like that.
And finding that other strength makes things even more interesting, because if you notice, Spirit Temple is our forest medallion. That locks 2 songs.
Right. Ew.
And the songs that we are missing, Requiem, which Child Spirit is dead, we're not concerned about that. But Storms, Storms is still a thing.
So, here's the fun thing. If you were extra bold, you could skip these next 3 checks, and you wouldn't technically, by key standards, be punished. There may be a boss key here, but God, if you were bold, and you figured out the logic of hovers,
Yeah.
could you imagine just skipping these 3 checks and just like YOLO, just you know what? Let's just do it.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God, I would love to. Just be like,
you
I
want these
know it's
skulls.
hovers locked. But of course, boss key would be here, and so it wouldn't matter, but...
You want boss key, you want the skulls, there's no reason to take that gamble.
I know, but you could, and just the fact that you could makes me happy.
Yes. And Gav is here in Child Cack. There were some shoes on Dompe digging, so nothing particularly useful, but nice. And he is already at, I think this is 17 skulls.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to this.
I mean... Sorry.
No, I was gonna say that the one thing that I would say is it's nice being right next to the door when you have 30.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes you'll see runners come back and do the child skulls when they're at 23, 24.
Yep.
Because then they can do all the child skulls and be right next to the door when they have 30.
Yep.
Versus at this point, Gav will have to play Nocturne and come back. It's not that much of a time loss, but it is something that you'll see people do to make it just a little bit more efficient.
Yeah. And in this case, it's not exactly like losing or gaining an age change by any means, but you're gonna want to be child anyway, because you're taking that boomerang straight to Jabu. We have letter.
Mm-hmm.
It was a French vanilla Stone of Agony. In vanilla, you get a wallet on 10 and Stone of Agony on 20.
Alright, confirmation. Hovers locked. There it is. So as you can see, he has 0 keys. The only check that's available at this point is Floor Master.
Yep.
And it technically requires hovers to get it. So, but no one actually does that. Man, come on.
Ooh. There we go. Alright, and night market checks, Bombshoe Bowling, nothing. We'll see a small key on Floor Master here. And what's Richard got? $5.
Amazing.
Great.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
So the way What the Hells goes, back deeper in the forest.
Mm-hmm. And no shield.
Yep. And again, confirming what we had thought about these paths, that hovers is required, but 2, this gives, if the runners can figure that out, if they can figure out this weird logical quirk that really doesn't come up very often, it's going to give them direction on an item they need anyway.
Yeah.
It will not be hinted. So if they ever get a blah 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 leads to bongo bongo, well no, oh wait, we already got that, it was Nocturne. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what Heaps is referring to is the fact that we have a path prioritization here. So because we have split wind condition, it's the 3-stone bridge and the lax later cutscene boss key with that shadow and spirit medallion. Anything that is on the path to one of our bridge condition dungeons, so those stones, Jabu, Forest, Fire, cannot be hinted for either of the medallions. So those hover boots being required for Forest and potentially even Fire, they can't be hinted for Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually really, it's kind of nice that these items have been free and they can follow that for an item that otherwise, like you said, can't be hinted.
Exactly. Sadly though, when they go to hunt for Dins, there's nothing for them to follow hint-wise, because we already know that probably the only hint they were going to get for Bongo Bongo was already wasted in the Nocturne, and it was already in a very free location they were going to go to anyway. So, not really much of a gain there.
Yeah, it just kind of depends. I think that we're missing a path hint still. Pull this up.
We are. Oh yeah. Well, we had one of our. You're right. One of our win conditions was free, so there should be two paths for one dungeon.
Yep.
The problem is the odds of that being for Medallion Shadow Temple is next to nothing because it'll probably prioritize Jabu Forester Fire first.
Well, so here's the thing. Jabu, we've already received the only hint available.
Yep.
Unless that is a path bomb bag, but we don't have any indication of that yet. We started with Minuet, so that's not hintable, and we know that it's not going to, like, even if it does lock Saria's, it doesn't matter, because it's not hintable. Both of our hook shots were free. It's already been hinted. One of them was already hinted for Volvagia. Our strength is so far the only strength, but... Oh no, we have 2 strengths now. Not strength locked. And the bow is kind of the only real question mark then.
Yeah.
So there's actually a pretty good chance that we could end up with a bongo. Double hint.
Totally. I feel with... See, now it's interesting. We're gonna go with interesting. What it's trying to accomplish by saying, hey, Volvagia is behind Longshot. Like, is it all towards that hover boots? Or is there also a hammer out there somewhere? It's also Longshot locked. I don't know. Because if it's all just the hovers, then you're right. There could be another, like, Volvagia hint for hammer.
Yep.
But if it's all for hovers, then there could be another hint. If that hint was already taken up by hammer, then there could be a second shadow.
Yep. Yeah, and so someone was saying that we're getting a hammer hint first. Not necessarily. We've had all of the kind of required hints. The randomizer will do everything in its power to hint an item for each of the required dungeons.